Well, greetings. Once again, it is I, Robert Meyer Burnett from Robservations on YouTube with another episode of Living the Lucky Tiger Life. And today we have Harry Sidney with us. And Harry is the first recipient of the Men Who Roar Award from Lucky Tiger that is given to men who are making a difference in their own communities. And Harry started a program back in 2003 called My Brother's Keeper. And he has become a mentor, a leader, a man who is helping other men be the best they can be.
I was angry about some things in my personal life.
Drinking was a big factor. Abusing marijuana was another factor.
I had just got out of prison for selling drugs to an undercover cop.
It was the point where we'd almost given up. We had gone through so many different programs and medications and different doctors and psychologists.
Spent time in jail. It's just horrible things.
Most of these people that I deal with, I was them. Unfortunately, men haven't really been taught or don't know how to be men. So as long as there's that issue, there's a need for this program.
My Brother's Keeper is a male mentoring program founded by former NFL player and coach Harry Sidney. My Brother's Keeper helps men and young men deal with life's challenges.
It's an organization that's geared to helping men understand the pitfalls that they're going to face, but also give them the strength to make changes in their life that they need to make.
There's definitely a need for a program like My Brother's Keeper in Brown County, because I believe that if someone gets to these kids before they get to me in the juvenile detention center and acts as a mentor or someone to teach them life skills and instill these values and core values in these kids, I believe a lot of them wouldn't come here to begin with.
You call us, we set up a time, and we come in and talk. It's really that simple. People, you don't have to jump through hoops. You fill out one piece of paper. It basically gives us a confidentiality agreement. It says everything we talk about stays here. That's pretty much it.
I just had some problems that I felt needed to be addressed, and I didn't know how to address them. And finally one day I just decided to call. I think it was on a weekend. And I just said, you know, I need somebody to talk to and just need some help and some thoughts. And Harry said, sure, come on in and we'll talk. And you know, ever since it's been really great.
There's a lot of things that wouldn't have been going on if it weren't for this program. You know, I can honestly say that. I mean, he helped me in so many ways. It still is.
I'm doing things that I never thought I would do, and I never thought I would get this far in the first place. And so to be what I'm doing and, you know, what I've done since I've joined Harry's program is, you know, fantastic. I don't have no family, so he is my safety net. And when things get tough or whatever and I get frustrated about something, yeah, I call him.
So I want to say I'm that every guy. I've had success and I've had failure. And every day, if I don't pay attention to who I am, I'll make mistakes. I have a code called the IRS code. What that basically means is integrity, respect, and standards. And those are things that if you ask yourself in every decision you make, does that make me a man of integrity? The answer is either going to be yes or no. And those are the building blocks, the words, I call them key words that we use to signify things. I don't care what color you are, where you came from. Respect should be respect. Integrity should be integrity. Standards should be standards. And if all the cultures and everybody around here lives by that same standard, we're not going to have any problems. We're going to be able to integrate and be diverse and be all those things that we think Green Bay is. But we have to work on it.
Unfortunately, there is no pot of gold supporting My Brother's Keeper, for a majority of the program's funding is through donations.
Money is a sticky subject, but when you believe in something, you have to ask for it. And that's where we go out and we try to ask for donations and things to help this program make the difference, because it is. It is making a difference.
Contact us today. My Brother's Keeper. Straight talk. Sound direction.
So, Harry, first of all, welcome. And what was it like getting an award from Lucky Tiger as being the first man who roared? You're the first man who roared.
It's absolutely incredible, because when you start a program that you're just trying to make a difference, but it's nice to be recognized for what you're doing, not just inside the circle that you walk, but from outside. I got another award, Lee Rimmel Award, great reward. Some of the greatest Packers have gotten that award for what we do in the distinguished service. But to have a Men Who Were award, it means that you are making a difference because people are seeing things differently. And I as crazy as life was, I've been so blessed. And my job, my responsibility, the blessings that I have is to spread it out to others, to allow them to be the men that they want to be. A lot of people say you can't. Why can't you? Why not you? And that's our message. Why not you?
But when you started My Brother's Keeper, you weren't doing it for awards or accolades. I mean, it seems to me
Still not. I'm doing it because I love doing it. I get a chance to help people.
But it was sort of a calling. You had great success as you already explained to me. You at the you thought you were never going to realize your dreams, and at 27 you sent a letter out, letters to all the NFL teams, and San Francisco wrote back to you, responded, and then you wound up playing with I guess heroes of yours at the time.
You know, and I won't say heroes in mine because I was just trying to get a check. I was trying to make a living. I had mouths of food. It's like, okay, then all of a sudden you're there, then you realize who these guys are. Then they become heroes. That's just like it. But it was so cool because at San Francisco, Joe, Jerry, Ronnie, as great as they were, they made you feel like they put the pants on the way you put the pants on. To everybody else, they were this. To us, that was just my teammate.
Right.
And so when our program, I want these guys, when we sit down one-on-one, to know, even when they leave me, they get my phone number. I'm on call 24 hours a day. So if they need something anytime, they pick up the phone and give me a call. So I want them to know that, and one of the reasons I started from, because when I was growing up, I wish I had somebody to talk to about the things that I was going through that would listen, that didn't put me in a category, that just didn't say this, okay, yeah, you're this, that. No. So what our program is about listening to boys and men so we can change their direction.
With your program, My Brother's Keeper, what do you think your primary concern is? What if somebody were to ask you, what is the one thing that you want to achieve with what you're doing for men? What would that be?
Well, I told somebody one day, they thought it was crazy. My goal when I first started My Brother's Keeper was put women's abuse houses out of business.
Wow.
To put them out of business because our men were doing what they're supposed to. I grew up in a house of violence. I wish that I didn't have to see my dad do what he did, or wish that I didn't have to go through that. But so my whole purpose when we started this program was to put the women abuse shelters out of business because they weren't needed, because every man was doing what they were supposed to do for their wife and for their kids. It's that simple.
That's an amazing. What an amazing thing. I mean, I have to hand it to you. Now, that couldn't have been easy.
No, it wasn't easy. I mean, and Green Bay is a great place to live, but you got to remember, I'm an African-American man, opened up a male mentoring program in Green Bay, Wisconsin. Most people thought, Harry, are you crazy? But the love we got from other people, I got some incredible board of directors that are part of it, that are men in the community, that is so cool because instead of me having to talk about My Brother's Keeper, they did it. So they realized if we save one guy, change one guy, that one guy could affect 5 people. So if I do 50, I'm really doing 250. So that's when things start changing, when all of a sudden that kid can go to school and feel good about himself because he looks up to his dad, because his dad is there. So we're trying to change everything. It's about boys and men, but it's about the effect of boys and men. Everybody has stuff, and if you don't handle your stuff the right way, it leads into other things, and then that becomes collateral damage.
Right. So I'm curious, from your experiences growing up, from your experiences playing in the NFL and achieving those dreams of yours, and then becoming a coach, before you started this, I mean, it seems like you just thought it up. Did you have to consult with like you said, you had a psychiatrist friend when you called him? Did you have to consult with people? Did you have to get this program?
I consulted with one guy, a buddy of mine, a guy named, his name is J.D. McKay. He was a judge. He was a judge, and I got to know him. I don't know how I got to know him. And I went in one day and we talked, and I said, do you think we need a program like this? And he said, hell yeah. Because it's a different program. And when I say these things, there's a lot of great programs. But what I realized on this journey, there was a lot of women trying to tell men how to be men. There was a lot of guys that didn't make it were telling people how to make it.
Right.
And so that's like growing up. I became a Christian later on, but in life, I didn't understand faith or Christianity because the guy that was telling me the message, my dad, I didn't believe in him. So there's a lot of confusion about who we're supposed to be based on the message tellers. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so what our program is about, when guys sitting there and say it's not possible, and on my walls there's pictures of me with the Packers, 49ers, Joe, Ronnie. It is possible if you're willing to do the things to make it happen.
Well,
and that's what my message is.
So you talked about how, now you're talking to men from beginning at 9 years old all the way up to 82.
Yeah.
Where are the men that you are mentoring? Where do these men come from? How do they find you? Do you use community outreach? Are you going out? Are you going to places where you find men?
When I started this program, I also do a radio show. And so I do commercials on the radio. But once I started, I got involved by going to the school systems. I go into the Brown County, I go into the Juvenile Detention Center every Tuesday to work with kids that are arrested. We have a contract with Brown County Human Service, or any young boy that gets in trouble with the law, they can be sent to our program. And if they're sent to the program and make the changes, maybe some of their punishment is lessened. So it's just a matter of building it up systematically for 17 years to be a different program. And our program is different because we don't do the dance.
Right.
Don't do the dance. My job is not to color you. My job is not to love you. My job is to tell you, dude, this is what's going on. I tell people, my job is to be an artist. My job is to paint pictures they can see. And to do that, you have to use a lot of different things because they might not get it right away, but in 2-3 years, it's amazing how many times clients come back and go, man, I didn't want to hear it when you first told me, but now everything you said was the truth. I go into the Juvenile Detention Center and I'll see a guy I talked to before, and the first thing I'll say to him, oh, so you thought I was lying?
Well, do you see, is there a commonality? I mean, there's a lot of different people. I watched on your website, there's a video where you interview a pretty diverse group of guys that talk about your program. Do you see certain commonalities between men today and is it men from all walks of life?
Men from all walks of life, black, white. I have a commercial. It's not a black or white thing. It's a man thing. Everybody, and it comes from, they're saying not being nurtured. A lot of it comes from dad not being around or the type of dad that was there. It comes from, we have a lot of issues with divorced moms raising teenage boys, and they make that boy the spouse. And then all of a sudden that boy's battling with mom because he thinks he has an equal vote.
Wow, okay.
She's raised him, he's a good dude, and because she gives him the flexibility to have more say-so. Well, the problem is you might be the man of the house, but when you go to school, you still got to be a student. You can't run the show there. So there's a lot of those type of things. There's a lot of issues with guys not sure how to want something, not sure how to sacrifice things. And one of the big words we talk about is sacrifice. And there's a lot of guys that aren't willing to sacrifice. And we also live in a world where there's a lot of entitlement.
Right.
There's a lot of entitlement because of this. Every parent tells I'm one of those guys that not everybody is going to be the MVP. Not everybody deserves a trophy.
Right. And that's, the every kid gets a trophy thing has been something that's been talked about now for, the last decade. It's crazy. One of the things that I grew up knowing, I played sports growing up, but I'll never forget my father, who was a little older than most fathers at the time. Mm-hmm. I remember growing up in Seattle, I was in Cub Scouts, and we would always have the Pinewood Derby where we would build cars and you'd race them down a little track. And we had a lot of Boeing engineer fathers, you know, and my dad was an insurance salesman, and he would always say to me, we would always come in second place. And he would always say to me, and he would apologize at the end. He'd say, listen, Bobby, you know, I'm not a Boeing engineer. I'm just an insurance salesman, and we're never going to beat the engineers. And I remember my dad saying, but the point is we've had fun doing this together.
You did it together. Yes, that's the cool thing. And so many times, unfortunately now, and then we also live in a world with the young generation with the cell phones and all those things that distract somebody from sacrificing for a long time. They want an instant. I mean, we grew up in a time where it took you 10, 15 minutes to cook popcorn. Now you put 2 minutes to put popcorn in the microwave and you're tapping the feet because it's taking too damn long.
Right.
You know, and so our world is changing, but that doesn't mean the things we learned had to take us a different, like my dad. My dad taught me some incredible things. He just taught me in a messed up way.
Right. Now, but you still found them useful. At the time, did you know that he was teaching you things that were valuable, or did you find him to be okay.
No, I found him just to be that guy that whatever he says goes. And he was the type of guy, if he didn't say it, if you didn't hear it, and you asked him what he'd say because he talked fast, then he'd beat your butt because he thought you weren't paying attention.
Right.
Yeah. My dad was the type of guy, I remember one day, he always had these memories. I remember one day when I was younger doing homework, you know, after school. I'm sitting there, TV's off, radio's off, and I come in, and the first thing he does is he turns the TV up as loud as possible. And then he turns the radio up as loud as possible. And I said to him, well, what are you doing? He says, well, if you think you're going to be a professional athlete, you better learn how to concentrate. Great message.
Wow.
Great message. But the way it was delivered, I was like, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, but great message. We learn a lot of stuff from our dads. We do. We just have to be smart enough to try to figure out what the message was and what we got from it. Because he didn't read a book. We live in this world now where everybody reads a book about how fatherhood. He grew up in the streets of Philadelphia, joined the war, taught him how to kill. They didn't teach him how to be a dad.
Right. So I want to get back to your philosophy, the IRS philosophy, which I think the IRS philosophy that you've come up with is really great. And I'm wondering if you got into it a little bit, but if you could sort of get it, talk about that a little bit more.
Okay, here's the IRS philosophy. And first I do a lot of talking on my program, and if say you were my client and you sit down, the first thing I'd say to you is, first of all, what's stopping you from being who you want to be? If I said to you, what do you think is holding you back? Those type of things, we get that guy. And I'd say to them, what's the difference between a professional athlete and an amateur athlete? What would you say? What would you say?
Getting paid?
That's what everybody says, their money. And what I say is 3 seconds. And they go, what do you mean 3 seconds? I said, think about this, where I live in Wisconsin. If the starting right guard for the University of Stevens Point got a DUI last night, who would really hear about it? Family school. Starting right guard for the Green Bay Packers gets a DUI, who hears about it? The whole world. The point is it takes you 3 seconds to build or 3 seconds to destroy. So what are you thinking in that 3 seconds?
Right.
And so what I want my clients to think about, our fundamental is building a house. The foundation of everything is integrity. And our definition of integrity means knowing what the right thing to do is and being willing to do it at all times. And that's at all times. And I said, now this is where we need to live in the black and white, but unfortunately most of us live in the gray area. And the gray area becomes anytime we make any decisions first based on reasons, excuses, drugs, drinking, emotions, or feelings. Because anytime we make it first, we're going to make the wrong decision. So then I tell them, in order to be a man of integrity, once you decide that, be that. In order to be a man of integrity, your next step is, in order to be a man of integrity, I now have to respect myself and others. And for us, our definition, and most people's definition of respect, is treat people the way you want to be treated. Our definition of respect is you have to teach people how to treat you. You have to teach people how to treat you. My wife, great lady, if she does something I don't like, and I don't say anything and I get mad, is it her fault or mine? It's mine because I didn't say it. Now it's how I say it. That's the communication part. So in order to be a man of integrity, I have to respect myself, which means I have to communicate better. And a lot of our domestic violence is because guys are communicating with their fists instead of their mouth. They're communicating with all these other things. So in order to be a man of integrity, you have to respect yourself. And once you respect yourself, to do that, you now have to establish new standards. This is what I'll do. This is what I won't do. This is how I walk. This is how I talk. This is how I work. This is all those things about me. So in order to be a man of integrity, I have to respect myself, live up to my standards. To do that, I have to be disciplined. Remember, I'm a football guy. Keep it simple, stupid. I have to be disciplined. Disciplined to do what? Discipline to ask myself, does it make me a man of integrity? Then hold myself accountable for that answer, because that's my responsibility. That's what we teach our guys. That's what we teach our guys. So I give braces out that says integrity, and what I do with my clients is have them, I want them in all decisions, just take a look at the bracelet to remind ourselves, because we can learn it, but we have to put it in practice. The more you do it, I'm an old football guy, fundamentals, you line up, you get your stance, you do all that stuff. Well, for us to be the men that we need to be, we have to slow down and not let the outside world stop us from being the men that we need to be, if we want to be those men. That's what the IRS code's about.
Now, do you find, you touched on how we now have a generation of very entitled men, and when you have social media and phones and Instagram and everybody's showing you pictures of the life that you're supposed to be leading, and yet everyone isn't. The stuff. It's the stuff. And obviously, and I think everybody, as you grow older, I've certainly learned this stuff doesn't make you happy. It doesn't make you the kind of person that you want to be. So how do you begin telling somebody that's grown up in a world where they're surrounded by all of this input about how their life is supposed to be? How do you tell somebody that that's not what's important? How do you begin digging into your IRS code?
Because I asked them, how's their life been without it?
Right.
How's it going? You've been doing it your way for quite a while. How's it going? If it was going good, you wouldn't be here. I'm a straight-ahead, straightforward guy, dude. If you were doing all those things that you need to do, that you want to, you wouldn't be sitting across from me. You wouldn't be dealing with the DUI. You wouldn't be dealing with the drug issues. You wouldn't be dealing with a restraining order against your lady. You wouldn't be dealing with your kids not knowing who you are. So it's not me saying it. Look at your life. If you want to change it, I can help you change. Is it easy? No. But what do you want in life?
Right. Now, do you find that men are they receptive to your message at first, or do you get a lot of pushback from people?
Here's the thing: they're receptive depending on how I lay it out. What I mean is, I did talking about me, but usually I talk about them, and in that process of talking about them, we can point out things, and I'll go, "Hey, look at that. How could you have handled that different?" Well, if I did this. If I done this. So you see, it was there. You just didn't know it was there. So I make them look at themselves, because for them to change, they have to see themselves. And one of the models, I'm not going to work harder than my clients.
Right.
I'm gonna give you the information. It's up to you to apply it. And if you don't apply it, it's not working. Don't get mad at anybody but yourself. Isn't that why you brought me? Why you came here? And then I'll tell them the story. The difference between a successful man and a man of success. Think about four athletes at one time that got caught up in chasing and stuff. Look at Tiger Woods. Look at Brett Favre to a certain degree.
Right.
Look at Aaron Hernandez. Look at Mike Tyson. All of them had the stuff, but all it took was one mistake to lose it.
Yeah.
And so what I teach my clients is, by being that man of integrity, respecting yourself, living up your standards, being disciplined, holding yourself accountable, you can still have the stuff. The only difference is, because you're thinking differently, you're not going to lose the stuff. It's not the first thing. It's the substance is the important thing.
Right, and yet society would tell you the exact opposite.
They've been telling us for years, but African-American boys growing up. You got to be the athlete. You got to have the shoes. If you're not macking these girls or talking to these girls, you don't fit in. That's bullcrap. So I'm trying to change a whole thought process. And since 2003, I've been doing it.
Now, there's been a lot of people's that lately, like, you hear a lot about, like Jordan Peterson wrote his book where he says the first thing a man's got to do is clean your room. Put your life in order. How do you start? Like, what is with your IRS code? How do you start with somebody that might not even know where to begin? You have to take a first step to go on a long journey.
Well, what we have to do is we go through and talk about all their stuff, and then bury it. Because the hardest thing for boys and men is that we struggle forgiving ourselves for our mistakes. So with a lot of clients is I clean them out. We talk about all their stuff. A lot of times I have them write it down, write all up, write a letter to themselves, apologizing to themselves, and then burying it so they can move forward. That's just like the glass of water. If I don't empty that old out and then put new water in, that turns old. So I have to clean them out before I put new stuff in. We come to terms with those things that have been stopping them and put them in a place. So like my father, and it sounds crazy, his death, all those different things, he died a couple years ago. Didn't go to his funeral, but we made peace. And all the anger that I used to have for him, I took and put in a little corner over here in my shoulder. I know where it's at, but I don't have to carry it all the time.
Right.
So we have to learn how to forgive ourselves. And forgiving ourselves is important, like a husband and wife. Wife knows how to jab, and she's jabbing because she knows it affects you. Once you stop letting it affect you, when she jabs, there's no response. I tell my guys, well, they say I wish my wife would change. Well, the wife will change if you change.
Right.
Because if you change, you force her to respond differently. Ain't that change?
How long when you have a new client, how long is the program or the process or the journey that you help them along on? Like, if someone comes to you, how long do they see you at My Brother's Keeper?
I have clients that I meet with once a week at first, and every 2 weeks. I have clients that have been coming for 10 years. Wow. Every 3 months, just for an oil change. Just for an oil change. Just come sit in, we have a conversation about how you've been doing, blah, blah, blah. I mean, think of a car. You got to change the oil in the car for it to run smooth as a guy. You have to take a look at, okay, what are the things I need to work on? What are the things I'm falling short at? We have honest assessments and we talk about, dude, you said you want this, but look what the hell you're doing.
Right.
How you going to do that if you're doing that? It's just an honest one in all our sessions, except for at school or at a juvenile, are all one-on-one. Because most boys and men don't want to sit and talk and tell the world about their issues.
Well, we're not taught how to do that.
We're not how to do it. So that's why one-on-one is a whole different world. I have clients that come in here, man, that go, man, I didn't believe it would be like this. I thought it would, and our program is just different. We sit, relax, talk, have coffee, soda, and say, okay, man, tell me what's going on. What's stopping you from being you? Simple, straight up things like that.
Do you think that the country, that the United States, that there's things, whether it's public education on a federal level, or what can our country be doing more to be helping? I know this is a huge question. What do you think we can do on a federal level, on a state level, and at a local level to do more to help men move through life? I mean, I know it's a huge question.
That's a tough question. What I think, and again, this is my opinion, is we have to do a better job of not giving people excuses for being idiots.
Oh my, I love that. Okay, that might be one of my favorite things I've heard in a long time.
What I mean is, like for example, I had a dad that called me. You know, I sit with this kid for 45 minutes. The kid didn't get up one day, and the dad says, "Well, do you think he's depressed?" Oh, why don't you give him that? Why don't you give him that name so he can label that, so he can put that to his chest? Well, I think I'm depressed, and so that's why I'm doing this. Don't give him any names. We make excuses for behavior. Stop making excuses. We all got stuff. I call it alphabets. We all got some form of alphabet behind our name. And I'll have my clients come in. I got 8 issues. I got this. I got this. I said, let me ask you a question. How many times have you ran headfirst into a moving car? They'll say none. Okay, you can think.
And how is that met? I mean, in this day and age, everybody wants to label everything, and you just laid it out in such a simple, easy to understand way. I would not say no to you. Do you get pushback for that? I mean, everybody has.
I love pushback, but then I ask them, okay, you think that, but tell me, how's your life going? How's your life going? Is school doing well? Well, I wish I was better. Relations, obviously the way you're doing about it isn't working in the way that you think it. And I'm the guy that I'm the truth guy. I have guys that'll come in here that are ninth grade, will sit in a chair, all 4'10", 110 pounds. And I'll say, what do you want to be when you grow up? I'm be a football player. That ain't happening, dude. Unless you eat something special and grow, that's not going to be happening. So let's be realistic on who we are and what we're trying to do. Not everybody can do that. Not everybody can do this. Let's figure out what's the best for you, and you do the best that you can. Because once you do that, because part of, when I talked earlier about the IRS code, there's also another part of the IRS code. The IRS code is about building a house. And when I build a house, the bottom foundation has to be integrity. Then the walls, you have respect and standards. Then there's a roof, there's discipline. Then there's accountability and there's responsibility. And then I tell my clients, now, as you build your house, nobody can come through your door unless they have the same values. Otherwise, they become termites. What do termites do? Eat your house up from inside out. So those are things we talk about too.
Well, how does a kid, so that's my other dog, how does a kid who you're laying out the truth, which has got to be really hard to hear, when you've told somebody, really you've told them the truth, and it's a hard truth to swallow. How do they take that?
Well, because a part of me, like I said earlier, being an artist, I paint pictures they can see. Not everybody can take a hammer right between the head.
Right.
Right. So part of myself and my other mentor, Adam, our job is to give them the doses that they can chew, that they can swallow up, that they can eat. Because if I give it too much too soon, they'll blow gaskets.
Right.
Because now they're questioning everything, and we don't want that. We want them to start little doses, chewing a little bit, and you go, okay, this makes sense, and then give them a plan on how to attack certain things. To think that they can do it all doses at one time, that's ridiculous, because it'd blow their head. Because now what we're saying is, like, for example, I teach my client, I teach them how to stay clean while swimming in muddy waters. Because some clients, their families are messed up.
Right.
Their families are messed up. They're in, they have no choice in a lot of things that happen in their life because of all the circumstances. So we try to teach them to control the one thing that you can control, and that's yourself. That's yourself.
And do you find that are people, I mean, there's got to be guys that are more receptive to your message than others.
Oh, yeah, sure. I tell you, for real, one of the hardest guys to get through at different times is African-American men. Because African-American men, we've been raised at a time where we have to fight everything. We have to fight or do this or how we feel we have to be seen, all that stuff. But for me, it's different because, it's not a black thing or a white thing. It's a man thing. And sometimes, and that's where those termites, a lot of times people want to roll in cliques, want to roll in groups. That's my boy. So I'm still going to hang out my boy, even though he's doing stupid stuff, because he's my boy.
Right.
Well, really, if that's your boy and that's your friend, is he really helping your life by putting you in situations that you don't need to be in? And so a lot of times, and like I said, it's not a black thing, or a white thing, it's a man thing. It's a man thing. And when we have a lot of kids that don't have dads teaching them about really right and wrong or sacrifice or different things like that, it feels like it falls on us. It's our duty to make the difference.
Do you ever get to a point in your own life where you're just like, I can't do this anymore, I see too much of this, and that you ever want to stop? Or do you feel like you just can't?
Well, it's like, I look at my life and all the things that happen in that flow. And I know for a long time I thought it was me, but then I realized it was the man upstairs. I just thought it was me. once I got to a certain point in my life. And then I just think that this is what I do. My wife do. We do this. There will be a time when we shut down to a certain degree, but I'm always going to be a guy that's going to try to help people. That's just, it's in my blood. That's what we do. And sometimes it gets frustrated. It gets frustrated because you have a client that you know is a good dude, but he just gets caught up in, he doesn't realize he's a good dude. He still gets caught up in being a follower. He still gets caught up in doing what he thinks he needs to do opposed to doing what he's supposed to do. And sometimes that gets frustrating because you go, man, why? And he'll go, well, I just wasn't thinking. And that's what our whole program is about, teaching guys how to think, how to have conversations with yourself, how to say, you know what? If I do this, what's going to happen? And that's where that word integrity comes in. Knowing what the right thing to do is and being willing to do at all time.
Well, listen, I just want this has been great. I can't thank you enough for your time.
My pleasure.
This has been so terrific, and congratulations on this program. I mean, to tell you the truth, I didn't know. Obviously, I live in Los Angeles, so there was no way I didn't know about it. But having looked into you, and when they said maybe you could talk to Harry, I was like, well, that's a great idea. And I really admire what you've done, and there's probably the world needs more of you, sir.
Well, thank you. We just, everybody has some form of responsibility. I just didn't run from mine.
Right.
That's all. I'm just an everyday guy like everybody else. I was fortunate to play this and that, but I put my pants on the same way as everybody else. So if I can do it, if this can be me on my wall, they can be them on their wall. But just remember, the only thing I want to tell you, I don't have to be the only guy that roars. There's a lot of guys that are out there roaring. Just say the right things. Roar about the right things. That's all.
I love that. Now let me ask you this, because I'll do it as a shameless plug. Lucky Tiger, their one of their ad lines, because I didn't know anything about Lucky Tiger when they wanted to sponsor what I was trying to do. Because
nor did I.
Yeah, and they always say that Lucky Tiger products are for men who want to look good and feel great.
Yes.
Now your job is to teach men how to feel great. And it's something that, surprisingly, I don't think a lot of men know how to do.
No. In our program, it's about teaching men how to love, how to like themselves, how to be proud of every step that they take. It's really about that. Don't have to hide in the shadows anymore, And it's okay to love your lady. It's okay to treat your kids the way they're supposed to be treated. And if anybody is saying that's not, you got to take a look at your friends. Those are those termites we talked about. Yeah.
Well, listen, sir, thank you so much. This has been
pleasure.
Tremendous.
My pleasure.
Again, thank you for your time and your service. And Lucky Tiger thanks you, too.
I appreciate Lucky Tiger. I appreciate you, man.